I guess, main motion of the situation.
Okay.
Um, and so in total support of this bill. I appreciate the sponsors for taking the time to write it up. I had a question though as it related to our local board of elections. Cause I can, in Commissioner Clark's speech just then, it reminded me of a story I heard about a meeting about a month ago, where there was a motion, and I assume the Republican Party must have made the motion here locally to have the election manager and the board and the administrative functions of that office no longer report to the actual board of elections, but directly to the county manager, which would pretty much nullify the point, the oversight, and the power of the board of elections. I'm glad that failed, but did I understand that process correctly? No one else familiar with that motion at the board of elections? And so yeah, if that happened, I'm not exactly sure of the genesis of that, but I would ask the administration. I know it could be more power within the administrative function, but to refuse such a thing, the board of elections autonomy is important to making sure that our elections are considered fair and autonomous things. So yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
and I would also ask sponsors if y'all would mind. I know this only speaks on state issues, but locally we seem to have an issue going on.
Well, I think this motion is on. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I do remember something about who the Board of Election supervisor would answer to, and I think that amendment was not successful, or that ordinance was not successful with the Board of Elections. Is that correct, Dr. Ficklins? Okay. Okay.
Why is the administration trying to do that? I didn't realize it came from the administration.
It didn't come from administration.
Sorry.
Dr. Ficklin was on that board.
So in this instance, I should separate you from working for the executive branch of government? It seems to be a policy issue right now on who's in control of the board of elections. Is the and that's current now, but if we took away their oversight of the administrator, it seems like that would.
No, that was not the. Did you read the?
I guess I'm asking right now.
Okay,
What was the
well,
intent?
you need to read it. It doesn't take away anything from the Board of Elections authority. It just lines up the administrative end of reporting to the county manager, so that the county manager will make sure that the funds are correctly spent and advise the supervisor. Currently, the supervisor reports to the Board of Election. That's 5 separate people. None of them are over there every day. And of course, you can imagine some of the things that can happen when there's no direct supervision.
Well, so they are an independent board, and I understand that board
will still remain independent under this resolution.
But the hiring and firing of the director is one of the most important functions when you're considering oversight with that type of board. And it is akin to the same relationship as the planning and zoning with us. We do not have hiring, firing power.
You all are the only people that have hiring and firing power over the supervisor of the Board of Election.
No, the Board of Election does.
No, the commission
the Board
does.
of Election doesn't have it. It's the commission that has it,
Yeah, the commission does.
not the Board of Elections.
The Board of Election gets to choose, gets to nominate who they think should proceed, but actually this Board of Commission decides who sits in that seat.
Grant, we do have final confirmation power over these folks, but again, these are the initial actions currently happen at the Board of Elections. If there was going to be a firing taking place, they would need to take a vote on it.
No, sir.
No. Okay, so you can go over there today. You and county manager can
County
ask for a
commission.
firing.
The county commission could get together as a group and take care of that issue.
Right. Currently, the executive branch, they operate separate from the executive branch when it comes to the hiring and firing of that person, which is different from the director of public works or finance. Like the mayor has direct power. Y'all can make a decision in the mayor's office today whether or not that person has a job. My understanding is that maybe it's genuinely, but
Certainly, I can assure this, and I want to ask Attorney McNeil to come up because I don't want to get Dr. Ficklin in giving legal advice. Certainly, the Board of Election director now does not serve at the pleasure of the mayor because it was left out of the charter. And I think
that was intentional. That's how it is all over Board of Elections.
No, I'll let Attorney McNeil address that. We've been through this issue and gotten legal opinions on there. So Attorney McNeil, if you'll just lay that out for us briefly, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is an issue I've gone back and forth with our elections attorney William Nolan on this for the last several months, just kind of making sure we understand the nature of the appointment and termination power with respect to the election supervisor and then the reporting requirements. And so the process is to appoint a new election supervisor. The Board of Elections nominates and this commission confirms. To terminate an election supervisor, it has to come from this commission. The Board of Elections has the power to ask the commission to take a termination, but that is not a required step for this commission to terminate an election supervisor. And so the resolution that Dr. Ficklin proposed that you were referring to comes out of a discussion that I was having with William Nolan about what appears to be a gap in the I guess management structure of the election supervisor position, because the local act that the General Assembly passed in the 60s that creates the election supervisor position gives the Board of Elections power to set policies and relate, generally what her duties are, but it doesn't say anything about kind of day-to-day management. And the board only meets once a month. And so there was a question of, it's just impractical for a 5-member board that meets once a month to manage day-to-day, a full-time employee. And so the purpose of that resolution, as I understood it, was just to clarify that even though they're setting the general policies that govern her operations, let Dr. Moffitt or whoever the county manager, as a full-time employee that's on staff all the time here, just kind of manage things like leave requests or budgetary issues or anything that comes up on a day-to-day management type of thing that's not like a large-scale policy pronouncement issue that the Board of Elections has authority for. And so it's not shifting anything that's in the law. It's just clarifying an area where there was no law that we could identify.
So I understand them to be a quasi-governmental board with their own separate board, and there are a lot of similarities to them in the health department and planning and zoning. Do we have oversight to the degree that you mentioned, time off and shifts and all of that stuff when it comes to planning and zoning or the health department? Or are those boards, does it work in the same hiring, firing mechanism of nominations and whatnot?
I don't know off the top of my head about health department. I can speak to planning and zoning. I know planning and zoning was created by a joint resolution of the city of Macon and Bibb County back in, I think, the 70s. And so because it was created by this what is now this government as successor to City of Macon City Council and the Bibb County Commission, this commission would have authority, I believe, to dissolve the entire planning and zoning board. But within the framework that was set up, there's authority delegated for how people are appointed to that position. And
right. So I guess I'm asking, we have the authority to dissolve, and as we stated, through policy, we can make changes to all of these organizations.
So the Board of Elections is set up by state law.
Right, and it
P&Z
requires
is set up by y'all.
Yes, and both of them can be changed. It may take more policy work and bureaucracy, but both of them can be changed by policy.
And I believe the health
current
department,
day planning and zoning, the actual administrative oversight that you just mentioned, is that in any way doled out by the current county manager, or are they completely autonomous when it comes to that?
No, my understanding with that is that the executive director reports directly to the board of planning and zoning.
Okay. And same, my understanding, the same is true at the health department.
That's correct, but I don't know as much about that.
But we're asking here today is a significant change, it just seems to me. Well, no one acts, it failed the board for whatever reason, but it is a substantial change in the way that the Board of Elections operates, and it would minimize the purpose of them if
So like with P&Z, it's expressly spelled out in the legislation that created the P&Z board that the executive director reports to the board for day-to-day kind of activities. And so that's, I think, a difference that's not found in the local act that created the Board of Elections.
Okay. Thank you. I yield.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Watkins, you have further questions?
No, I'm ready to vote on the main motion. Or the